All right, wonderful people, let us continue in our coding. So I think the very first thing that we are going to do this time is to look at the dictionaries, but we are not going to look at dictionaries in the context of inheritance, but just to look at the basics of the dictionaries and how useful they can be. Now, first of all, what we need to note in this is that the dictionary stores in a key and a value pair. So you have to specify a key and a value. So in other words, the object or the items are accessed via a key, and the key is the one that can retrieve the specificity of an object where it is located. And the keys are very unique. They have to be unique for every object there is, and they can't be modified, but they can be deleted. Now it is very important that when we use the keys, first of all we use the reserved keyword. You say dictionary, and then from there inside of these types of brackets, then you specify, as you can see there, it requires a key type and a value type. Very, very important. So we are going to have a key type and a value type. So the key, I'm going to be very specific as to say it is a string, and then I'll have my comma there, and then I have now to specify the value, and I can just say, okay, the values will be ints. This will be the values that I have, and then from there you must give it a name. Let's just say these are the scores of our certain learners, and then when we use the new, that is to say we are reserving memory for that, and then we can just close it just like that. And then now I can add inside of this dictionary that I have. So you use the name, which is a scores dot, and then when you press the dot there is an add method which add inside of your dictionary. So we can add in there, and we can add, first of all we need to provide in the keys. Let's say the name of the learner is Smith, and then secondly you need to provide a value. So let's say the individual scored a mark of 89. Okay, and then I can copy this and paste as many times as I want. So let's have another individual. In fact, let me not say Smith, I need to use some other names here. Let me say Lucky, and here let me say Zanele, and this will be the great Papa Fanzo. Papa Fanzo, and I'm the one coding this, so I have more marks. So Zanele, she's not that bad with 79. So we can use the add method in order to add inside of our dictionary of scores, and we know that this will be at index 0, 1, and 2. And what is this? This is an object. This is an object with a key and a value. Very important. So in the context of object-oriented programming, we can say this is a string. The first object that we have has a string and an int value and so on. So these are the objects, because if you stand in here, it says it represents a collection of keys and values, right? And the t key is a string and t value is an int, and this comes from the system.collections.generic. So this is where you have to import this namespace. But as you can see here, we did not do that. So on the background, it has been doing that. So I think it is dependent on the .NET framework that you are using. In other network .NET framework, you have to import this, but because I'm using 7.0 and 6.0, maybe I don't have to import the namespace, but it is working just fine. But if you are using maybe a version that is a little bit more lower than .NET, so you are saying using system dot collections dot generics. So this is the namespace that you need to import there. Okay, let me just come here, try to fix something. Namespace is called X, so you have to import that, but for us we don't need it. We honestly don't need it, and everything will work just fine. So we have a key and a value, so I can access the items via a key. Very, very useful. So how do we access the values? So we access values via a key, and the question is, how do we do that? That is the question that we should ask ourselves. Okay, that is fine. So one thing that I can do when I am inside there, for example, I can have console.writeLine, and then what I can do, I can go to scores, and now I want to access the first object. So I access the object via the key. These are the types of the brackets that you should have, and then I specify the key. Remember, we have a key and a value, so I can specify the key and say lucky in there, and then I can just press Ctrl F5, and then it will print out for me the value, I believe, that is stored along with the key, because this is a pair. Remember, it is a pair, a string and an int. So there's a key and a value pair that exists there. So when you access the object via the key, it will bring out the value there is. Very important that we understand that. Okay, that is fine. And many things can be done in there. There are many things. For example, if you just come here and then you press the dot, you can see that we can add inside of that. We can aggregate. Many things can be done there. We have so much that we can do there. But okay, that is fine. We were just trying to access a value inside of lucky, and we were very much successful in doing that. So you have to also be very careful that the value, the key that you are using in order to access a certain value, it is there. Very important. For example, I can come and do this luck, and I can try to run this and just try to see whether I will find a required output or whether an exception will be thrown. Let's just wait for that. So there is an unhandled exception, and then it says the given key luck was not present in the dictionary, and it also tells you where the problem might have occurred in line 12. So that simply means you just have to go and check whether you have done things correctly or whether you have not. So this is something worthy of noting. And then what I can do there, I can try to traverse through the dictionary and print everything that is in there. I can do that. I can very much do that. So I can have a for each loop var, which will infer the type, and I'm going to call this what should I call this? Let me just say var u. Let me just use the u there, and then I have to specify the key and the value. So let me just say it's a string. There it is, and the value, they are of type int. Okay, very important that we note that. And then from there I'm going to say var u, okay, string and int. Let me just say entry, sorry, let me say entry. You see, we are having a problem because our naming there, it's not correct. Our naming there, it's not correct. So what I'm going to do in there, I'm not going to use the var. Okay, let me just say key value pair. There it is. So I'm going to say key value pair, and then when you hover over here, it says a class. This is a class from system.collections.generic key value pair. It creates an instances of key value pairs. So it is very important that when you traverse inside of a dictionary, you must have that key value pair. It creates instances of key value pairs, the key and the value struct. Very important. Let me just press the tab to auto complete that for us. Let me just do this. Now I'm not going to call that pair, I'm going to call that an entry. Very important. So when you are using a for each, you can't just use anything that you want there. For example, I can say var, and then I say u. Why? Because we are having a problem here. We are trying to access two different things. The object has a string and an int, and the only way to traverse inside that, because when you say var in here, var may infer a type for a string or it may infer a type for an int, but it cannot infer two types at the very same time. So that is why when you are there, you use a class which we call a key value pair, and then when you hover over here, sorry, it says now it is a read-only struct. System.collections.generic defines a key and a value pair that can be set or be retrieved. So what is this now? It is just a read-only struct. Please, it is not a class. As you can see the color there. So this is a read-only struct, and it defines a key value pair that can be set or be retrieved. Very important that we understand that. So I have a string and an int, and the order here is very important. You don't just do as you wish. The order is highly important. So when I'm there now, I can say, all right, let me just have a console.writeLine, and then I can just say, remember the name is entry dot, and there we have it, key. So entry dot key, and then when you hover over there, it gets the key in the key value pair. So it is a property with a get only. It gets that. Very important that we understand that. Plus, because I want to have a key and a value, let me separate that with that, and then say entry dot, and then a value now. And this one, it's also a property that gets the value in the key value pair. It returns a int, that is the value of the key value pair, because here you have specified an int. And in here, this one, it has what now? A string, because you have specified a string there. So this one retrieves a string, whereas that one retrieves a value based on the conditions that you have set in there. And then we can try to run this and just print this information that we have as a key and a value there. So when we run through, this is what we have. We have Lucky, Zanele, and Papa Fanzo, and this is exactly what we have. Right, be that as it may, no problem with that. And then what else can we do inside of a dictionary? We can add elements, and we can also remove certain elements in there. So for example, I can go inside of scores, and I can use the dot there, and there is a method that is called remove. And then how do I remove an object there? Now you see what it says, bool dictionary dot remove. It is looking for a string key. Very, very important. It removes the value with the specified key from the dictionary of keys and value pairs, the key of the element to remove. So I can provide a key. Let's get rid of Papa Fanzo. Those 2 marks are very, very high. So we can get rid of the individual, and then we can try to run through and see what we are having in there. So one thing to show whether it has been removed or not, I can just copy this, enter, and I can paste in there, and we can run through this. I could have just had a right line there just to draw up a line so that we may see the difference, but I'm going to do it just now. So let me just show you so that we see clearly what is happening in there. So let me just come in here. Sorry, can I just come here after this print out and just have a right line that just prints those lines so that we can see the differences from the first for each and the second for each loop. And then let us see what we are having there. So after we have removed Papa Fanzo, we now have Lucky and Zanele. And then what else can we do there? The other thing that we can do there is to count. We can be able to count how many objects are stored inside there. So we can have a console.writeLine, and we can say there are, okay, let me use interpolation, and we can say there are, and then I can say scores dot, we don't use length there, we use count. So there are 3 objects, okay, let's say on the dictionary, yeah, let's just say there are 5, 6, 7 objects on the dictionary, but do we know that we have removed 1, so we have to have 2 in there. So these are some of just the things that we can do in there. Let us check. There are 2 objects on the dictionary. So this is all, guys, what I wanted to share with you. I hope and believe that you have understood, and I will see you in the next tutorial.